This month I was supposed to finish my bathroom and failed, but I did play a lot of games, so let's talk about that instead. It's currently about 33 degrees, and I don't have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to keep this as quick as possible, because while I'm recording, I can't have my fan on. I've not really been sleeping particularly well recently. I'm just tired all the time, so I didn't get anywhere near as much done as I'd want to, which is why I didn't get the bathroom finished. I did some other jobs, rehung a door, chiseled the lock out and all that sort of shit. Tidied, got rid of a load of stuff, but besides that, not done a whole lot on the house. Because I am still working on the house. The main thing I've done, I've not even really been out very much. We've been shopping a few times and we've been out to town, but nothing particularly interesting. So the only things I've really done is played a couple of games, and I have literally nothing else to talk about, so I'm going to talk about those. The first thing I did was the Final Fantasy XIV patch, which was just as good as it always is, but it is a little bit annoying. I'm just having trouble queuing. Very few people seem to be playing the game anymore. It's weird because there's always loads of people playing. There's always a queue to get in. But then whenever I queue for content, it takes forever. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, the content was good. I enjoyed it. But the stuff around it is kind of frustrating. I'm more excited for the next stuff to come, the end of the Hildebrand stuff. The next game that I finished was Pragmata, which I really enjoyed for the most part. The story was great and the combat was fun, but the challenge missions, I really enjoyed up until I got to that medic one. And that medic one is just a cliff. And I did manage to do that medic one. But what it also did was sap all the energy I had for the rest of those challenges. So I just didn't finish them after that. I'd done literally everything in the game until that point. And then I hit that and I was like, wow, I don't want to do this anymore. So I never did any more of the challenges. I tried a couple and I was just don't like it. Which is also why I never saw the post-game stuff. Because they require you to do all the challenges, and I just don't want to. I won't spoil the ending, but it did almost make me cry. The story is by far the best part of the game. The gameplay's fun. At times it was a little bit frustrating, and I had more problems to do with my mouse than with the game, because my mouse would just randomly break. You have to hold the Alt key and move your mouse. I had one of the side buttons on my mouse bound to Alt, so you'd think that'd be perfect, except every now and again it just stopped working. Sometimes it would stick to Alt being on, so I couldn't get out of the hacking. Sometimes it would stick to Alt being off, so I couldn't start the hacking. Sometimes it would lock movement, so I could only move in certain directions if I was hacking. And in the end I just gave up and went back to just using the keyboard, which is just an awkward way to have your hand. It's not the end of the world, it was fine, but it's just really frustrating. I really hate this mouse, to be honest. I would have had a better time if I wasn't using this mouse, but it's a good game. The failures of my mouse are not a problem with the actual game, are they? After that, I finished a game called All Hail the Orb, which I got sent a key for, and it's an incremental clicker game, which I've got a weakness for. I've played quite a lot of them, but it was pretty broken when I finished it. I don't know if it's been fixed since then. The devs said they were working on it, but there were multiple different save bugs just while I was playing it. It only took me a week to finish the game, and there were multiple different save bugs during that week. The first one was wiping people's saves completely. The second one is the one that I got hit with multiple times, where it would just wipe your research progress. Everything else would stay, but your research progress would get deleted. And it got to the point where what I was doing was I was manually editing my save to give me my research progress back every time it would get deleted, because you could do that. But it's just, they said they were going to fix it, but by the time I'd finished it, they hadn't. And it's also really poorly balanced. There's 5 different resources, I think, and each one is less useful than the last. It makes sense in a way, in that you get the first one first, so it's going to have the most uses. But what I mean is, by the time you get to the 5th one, the 5th resource basically only upgrades the 5th resource. And once you've bought all those upgrades, it's completely useless. There is nothing to do with it. And it's pretty much the same with each one. The first resource upgrades stuff for all 5 resources, but the 5th resource only upgrades things for the 5th resource. 4th resource only upgrades for the 4th and 5th. That sort of thing. It's not exactly that, but that's pretty much what the problem was. There's just very little use for the resources. They don't feel necessary. You need them to finish the game. But the first 2 resources are used for so many things that I had finished everything for the other 3 resources, and you buy progress. I'd bought all of their progress to the end of the game. I still needed 20 million of the first one by that point. And it just takes... No, it had to be more than that, because 20 million is not that much. But yeah, whatever, it just I needed like a ridiculous amount of the first one still. It's just, the entire game is kind of buggy and needs more balancing, and it really felt like it could have done with being delayed, to be honest. It just didn't feel ready. After that was Refresh, which wasn't the game I expected it to be at all. I don't do much research into games before I play them. When I choose a game to do for a video, I sort of choose it based on vibes, honestly. Then I will do basic research into it, like really basic. I'll look up the release dates and who made it and who published it, and that's like it, because I want to get like as raw an experience as possible. Sometimes people who sponsor me, like give me keys and stuff, will send me tutorials or like videos to watch or like document sheets on how to play the game or whatever, and I just completely ignore all of them. And it means that sometimes I'll play a game and like someone will see something and be like, this is really obvious what you're supposed to do, and I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing. But it also means that like to some extent I'm getting the experience that everyone else is going to get, which I feel is more useful. But it also means that like my opinion is in no way tainted by anything I already understand about it, and that's kind of what I want. There are occasional times when there are some games that I only play because I was originally not interested in it, and then I've seen someone else play it, and that has made me interested in it. So sometimes, yeah, I've got more knowledge of a game going into it than I would have otherwise. But generally I try and do it like that. So the point I'm making is I thought Refresh was actually one of those like clean-up games. Like I did one about cleaning up a forest or something last year. I thought it was one of those, and it's not. It's a collectathon platformer. Which is fine. I actually quite liked it. It's very short. It took me maybe 2 hours. You could probably get through it faster. I did almost everything. The only thing I didn't do was there is a time trial thing you can do. I did one of those and just didn't want to do the rest. I think there's like 4 in total. But yeah, I did everything else. And it was like really good. Like I say, it was only about 2 hours, which for me is like the perfect length for one of those games, because I'm not really a huge fan. So having like a short and sweet one that doesn't overstay its welcome is exactly what I want. Here Comes Nico is another one that I like, although that game is much longer. But even then, it's also still really good. I've not finished any other games. I've been playing more RuneScape and I've been playing Judgment, obviously, but I'm going to leave talking about those until the channel update section. And then the only other thing I've been playing is Diablo 4, and I'm not really sure how much I like it. I like it enough to keep playing, but it's just kind of fine. I think my favourite one of the sort of dungeon crawling action RPGs is actually still Torchlight, just because it's like very simple and there's like not very much to it, but I just like that about it. Whereas, I don't know, going into it, I didn't like the idea of it being open world or like with multiplayer, but I actually kind of like that now. It's kind of amusing just seeing people around, and like occasionally like I'll see someone and I'll just like run over and help them for a bit and then run off. And then like doing the world bosses, I've only done one, but it's just kind of interesting because it's like a big fight and a spectacle more than anything, honestly. And you're doing it with like 20 other people or however many turn up. So the stakes aren't really all that high, but you get good rewards from it, and it's just a bit different than playing the rest of the game. It is, though, very repetitive, to be honest. I've been playing a rogue using a bow. I was choosing between them or a magic wizard warlock, I don't remember. Because I like attacking from a range, and I like when my attacks chain between enemies, and I think both of them do that. But I ended up going with the rogue. But the entire combat, like every combat is exactly the same. I walk up to the next combat encounter, press the number 1, which makes my weapon do cold damage, then press the number 2, which is my ultimate, which does like a big barrage of arrows, and then just hold right click, and then wait until everything's dead. And then that's it. That's like the entire game. And it's fine. I'm clearly enjoying it enough to keep playing, but that's also all there is to it. There's just nothing else there. And I guess like it'll get harder. I don't know, because it doesn't feel like it's any harder now than it was earlier. It just feels like the enemies take longer to kill. I mean, I guess obviously it'll get harder at higher difficulties, but I wouldn't want to do any of those until after I'm at max level anyway. And at the same time, do I really care? Probably not. I'm probably just going to finish the story and then never touch it again. The only other thing about it is that I'm a bit worried about the map's like huge, and I've put probably like 20 hours in it already, and I've not even done Act 2 yet. Like, I've just got into the second area of the game, and there's like at least 5. So, I've got quite a long time left to go. I'm going to finish it. It's one of those things where it's like, I kind of like it, but if I'd never got this in the Humble Monthly, I would never have picked it up. As for the channels, my Leagues video part 2 came out, and as soon as I finish recording this podcast, I'm actually going to record the first section of my part 3 video. The leagues is coming to an end soon. I think there's a bit over 2 weeks left. So they're a bit over 2 or just under 3, something like that. It's about 3 weeks. I like it. I feel like I've learned a lot during it. There's a lot about it that's still frustrating to me. Most of that is just that I'm bad at combat. I won't talk about it too much because there's already 2 hours of me talking about it, and there's about to be even more. So I'll save most of my thoughts for the next video, and you've already heard a lot of them anyway. Well, I say you have. No one watched any of them, but you get the point. It's already out there. RuneScape is going to carry on. The episodes are just going to keep coming based on whenever I feel like doing a quest. At the moment, I'm kind of doing quests based on them interacting with leagues. Like I did Scrambled, and I did the Garden of Death, and spoiling the next episode that comes out at the start of the month, I'm doing At First Light. And it's because all 3 of those need to be done in the league as well to get me some points. So, but yeah, I like doing the quests when I feel like it, essentially. So like, I'm not forcing myself to do quests. Well, I'm trying not to force myself to do quests, I'm just doing them as I feel like it. Like, I've got a list. There's a list of like the optimal quest guide, and I look at it, but I kind of just do what I feel like, to be honest. Just whenever a quest takes my fancy, I do it. But that'll just carry on until I'm done. I think I'm a third of the way through the quests now, or something like that. I think I've done about 70 of them, and there's 180. So it's a bit over a third of the way, isn't it? I mentioned earlier that I'm getting a bit annoyed at 14. And the way that's going to affect videos is that there's going to be more videos and less streams, I think. I'm going to leave streams for patches and expansions, I think. And between those, just put stuff up as videos. Because so much of the game is built around playing it with other people. And a lot of the people don't play while I'm streaming. So I can either move my stream times, which is just inconvenient for me, or I can just record them and then post it on the day I would normally stream, which is much more convenient for me. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to decide what that means for mid-patches, by which I mean like the ones that have the Hildebrand stuff. Does that need to be streams? But yeah, I'm not sure. It's not like people were turning up to my streams anyway. But when people do turn up, I kind of like it. But I also I've always felt weird doing streams just because I want to pay attention to the game. I feel like when I'm streaming, I want to be streaming something that I've already played, but at the same time, I don't really play games I've already played. So, I don't know. For now, at least, there's going to be more videos and less streams of 14. And then, definitely when the next patch week is, there'll definitely be actual streams there. But between those, I'm not sure. Everything else is going to carry on as normal, but the last thing is Judgment. I just say it like that because I want to talk more about Judgment, and there's nothing else to say about my other videos. Judgment is going to carry on. I like the story. I really hate how sub-stories are handled. I don't like that they're sort of like simultaneously strewn across the map, but also in 3 different locations. I guess it's not the worst thing, but I don't know, like I feel like I'd like it if people just text me when they had a job. That would make sense. The bartender could just send you a text saying, I've got a job, and you can come pick it up, as opposed to like running around and trying to find out if there's a job in the place. Because it just means like half the time you run into the building. There's a video the other day where I put out where I ran in to talk to him because I thought there was going to be a job there. And I talked to him, and it just says there's no jobs. And I was like, oh, okay, this is just a waste of my time then. There's that whole thing about you have to make friends with people to unlock sub-stories, and that's just bad, to be honest. I just really don't like that. Why does making friends with people increase your reputation? What I mean is, I kind of get it, because it means more people know who you are. But I feel like doing jobs should increase your reputation, at least as well. Because, like, I'm in chapter 8, and I haven't even got 15 friends yet, which is what I need to be at for my next load of sub-stories. But to get the last sub-story, you have to be 50. You have to be rank 50, and you have to make 50 friends, and I don't even know where all these people are. And, like, a lot of them require you to do things that I just don't want to do. I'm being forced to interact with systems I don't enjoy, just to be able to unlock the sub-stories that I do enjoy. And it's just really frustrating, because it makes me not want to do them. I also feel like there's a good chance I'm not going to play all the sub-stories in this game. I know that there are sub-stories in other Yakuza games I've missed. Like, I don't tend to do the hostess ones, just because I really don't like the hostess minigame. And there's ones where, like, you have to play baseball to unlock them, and I don't tend to do those. But it's only a handful in each game. Whereas in this game, it feels like it's going to be, like, nearly half of the sub-stories I'm going to miss. Now, I'm going to try and get as many as possible, but it's just, I don't know if I will. I think I'm a bit over halfway through the game now. And again, I'm at rank 14 out of 50. So, I don't know. The story's good. I don't like the combat, to be honest. Can't really get used to it. I feel like I attack very slowly, despite, as of the video I'm going to record tomorrow, I will have all the speed upgrades for combat, and I still feel like I attack too slowly. I feel like the enemies hit way harder than they should do, and there is, as far as I can tell, no way to increase your own defense. you can give yourself more health, but you can't increase defense. The entire game seems to be built around stat boosting extracts, they're called, and I just don't like that. I've never liked that in any game, to be honest, but especially not in a Yakuza. I know it's not technically, but you know what I mean. I feel like I'm having a worse time with this combat than I have in any Yakuza game. Because even then, like, the worst things about the other Yakuza games are like enemies block too much. And in this one, it's like you get hit like 3 times and it takes like half your health bar. And you can't carry anywhere near as much healing resources. And it's also just harder to get them. Like, why did they ever close that? There was the chemist that was in like all the games up to 6. And then they closed it in 6. And from that point onwards, I never know where to get staminans from and that. The game's like trying to force you to play in certain ways that I don't enjoy. And it's kind of frustrating. Because there's a lot about the game that I do like, but there's also like some bits like that I really don't. I think I'm a bit over halfway through now, so that will probably finish before July. It'll finish relatively soon at the very least. And then I'm not sure what's next. I think 7 might be next. We'll see. Special thanks to all my patrons. You can join me over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early, wallpapers for all of my LPs, exclusive roles in my Discord, and any other rewards I might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon, along with my Discord, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood and Koopy Vegeta. Take your place in the free market over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby. Check out my Instagram, TikTok and Twitter at Holden Gatsby, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to all of my channels. If you want more, you can watch my last video now, but if not, then thanks for sticking around. Bye.